Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. My name is Matt Wittern, and I work for Raftellus, the consulting firm the city hired to perform the water and sewer rate study. I'm joined by my colleague, Jeremy Tamargo, who is our technical lead. Tonight, we'll walk through Laverne's proposed water and sewer rates, why these changes are necessary, and how they're determined. This is part of the city's ongoing commitment to transparency and community involvement. We'll collect questions at the end. So we'll respectfully ask you to hold them, and using the hand raise function at the end, we'll be able to call on those of you interested in voicing a question in the order that those are received. Before we get started, I also wanted to give city staff who are participating tonight a chance to introduce themselves.
Hello, I'm Daniel Wu, the Public Works Director, City of Laverne.
Good afternoon. I'm Joe Guerra, Deputy Public Works Director for the City of Laverne. Mute. You're muted. There you go.
Sanchez, Senior Management Analyst.
Thanks, everyone. So with introductions out of the way, let me share what we plan to cover tonight. We'll start with an overview of our utilities, then review how utility funding works. Next, we'll explain how rates are determined under Proposition 218, and we'll then look at the proposed rates and their impact on customer bills. Finally, we'll share specific actions you can take if you object to the proposed changes, and we'll close with public resources and next steps, and end with time, like I said, for your questions. Laverne's Water Division manages the production and distribution of water to our homes and businesses, along with maintaining and reading meters. About 76% of the city's water supply is imported from the Colorado River and State Water Project through the Three Valleys Municipal Water District and treated at the Miramar plant. The remaining 24% comes from local groundwater pumped from the Pomona and Live Oak basins using 8 operational wells, 4 blending facilities, and a treatment plant. The Sewer Division maintains and cleans 112 miles of sewer mains and operates 2 sewer lift stations. All of your wastewater flows to the Los Angeles County Sanitation District for treatment and discharge. These systems are critical to providing public health and the environment. Now, let's look a little bit about some key concepts in utility funding. It's important to know that your utilities are not funded by the city's general fund or taxes. They operate as enterprise funds, which means the money collected from water and sewer rates can only be used to run and improve the water and sewer systems. They cannot be used for other city services like parks or public safety. Operating and maintaining the water and sewer systems is critical to ensuring reliable service. Rate revenues contribute to keeping the systems running 24/7. Here's what it'll cost in 2026 to run the water system. Nearly $1 million for administration, which includes employing the professionals who operate the water system. Nearly $10 million to ensure water is available for your community, which includes purchasing water. About $1 million to deliver water to your customers. About another $1 million to ensure you have the reliable customer service you need. And when it's all said and done, the cost to operate and maintain the system is about $13.9 million. Our study found this will increase to more than $15 million in 2027. Here's what it'll cost in 2026 to run the sewer system. Nearly $700,000 for administration, which includes employing the professionals who operate the system. More than $900,000 to maintain the system so sewage stays in the pipes where it belongs. And when that's all said and done, the cost to operate and maintain the system is around $1.8 million. This will increase to more than $1.9 million in 2027. Now let's have a look at the cost breakdown of where the dollars you pay end up going. This graphic shows how every dollar collected from water rates is spent to provide service. More than half, 51%, goes directly to water production, including purchasing and pumping supplies. Another 26% funds the city's capital improvement program to replace and upgrade aging infrastructure. The remaining costs are spread across the system needs, 7% for transfers and 5% each for customer service, transmission and distribution, and water administration, and another 1% for debt service. You can see here how the majority of the budget is spent buying water. We also wanted to put together a graphic comparing the prices per gallon. So this graphic helps put the cost of tap water into perspective by comparing it to everyday items that most of us buy. A gallon of orange juice costs about $12.80. A gallon of gasoline is around $3.89. Both bottled water and milk or about $3.84 per gallon. Now, by contrast, a gallon of tap water delivered to your home costs less than 1 cent. Even with planned rate adjustments, tap water remains by far the most affordable essential we buy. Unlike bottled water or juice, tap water is delivered 24/7 through an entire system of pipes, pumps, wells, and treatment facilities. It's also important to note that while we've all experienced the negative impacts of inflation on our family budgets, the rate of inflation for water and wastewater utilities has been far, far worse over the years. This graph compares the Consumer Price Index, or CPI, with just food-related CPI. Both appear down here at the bottom. And at the top, shown by the black line, is how inflation has impacted water and wastewater providers. This is not just true in Laverne or California. We at Raftellus see this across the country. So when we talk about inflation and rising costs, it's important to remember that utility systems aren't immune. They must keep pace with higher costs of labor, equipment, supplies, while also funding critical capital projects and setting aside reserves for emergencies. In Laverne, water and sewer rates haven't been adjusted since 2018. In that time, the water utility has been operating in the red, drawing down reserves just to cover basic operating costs, and that's not a sustainable path. From 2018 until now, the Consumer Price Index has increased by about 28%. And on top of that, like we saw earlier in the graph, utilities typically rise even faster, about 2% more than CPI each year, which adds another 15%. And most significantly, the cost of the treated water the city purchases from the Metropolitan Water District has gone up by more than 50% in the same time period. These factors together explain why steady, responsible adjustments are needed now. They will ensure that the city can cover rising costs, invest in infrastructure, and continue delivering safe, reliable service to every household. This graphic highlights the planned capital improvement projects needed to keep Laverne's water and sewer systems reliable. For the water system, planned projects include pipeline rehabilitation, well repair and rehabilitation, upgrades to the treatment plant, and a citywide meter conversion program. On the sewer side, work will focus on pipeline rehabilitation, manhole cleanouts, and sewer relining to extend the life of existing infrastructure. These projects represent proactive investments to reduce breaks, improve efficiency, and ensure safe and reliable service to the community. We wanted to share with you the public process over the past year. It began with several ad hoc committee meetings and facility tours conducted with the council, continued with a council workshop in April, and the council's action in August to authorize Prop 218 notices. Notices were mailed in September, and we're now holding 4 community information sessions. In fact, you're in one of them right now. The public hearing will take place on November 3rd at 6:30 p.m. at City Hall. If approved, new rates would take effect on January 1st, 2026. Webinars like these are not the only way the city's been communicating with stakeholders on these important topics. The city has been proactively communicating about this rate study and the process for some time now, and the conversation in the community has been robust. So let's get down to brass tacks here and go into detail on the proposed rates. The next several slides will show water rates, sewer rates, and how these changes, if approved, will be phased in beginning January 1st, 2026, and then adjusted each July 1st through 2029. This slide shows the proposed fixed charges based on meter size, along with the added unit charges for accessory dwelling units. These charges help ensure the city recovers a portion of its fixed costs, such as maintaining wells, reservoirs, and the distribution system. Larger meters have the higher charges because they provide greater capacity to draw from the system. This slide shows a map of Laverne's water pressure zones. Now, these zones reflect the different elevations in the city. Because water must be pumped to higher elevations in some areas, the cost of providing service can vary. On the next slide, we'll look at the proposed volumetric rates by zone, which are designed to fairly distribute those pumping costs among your customers. This slide provides the detailed breakdown of the proposed volumetric rates by zone, showing the current 2025 charges compared with the proposed 2026 charges and how they will phase in over time. This structure makes sure that the city can pay for rising imported water costs while maintaining reliable local service. This slide shows the proposed charges for private fire protection connections, which are typically associated with commercial or industrial properties. These connections require system capacity to be available even if they are rarely used. The new charges will help cover the cost of maintaining infrastructure that ensures adequate fire protection throughout the city. Finally, this slide outlines the proposed sewer rates. For single-family residential customers, the charge is a fixed bi-monthly amount, which will increase gradually starting in 2026. For non-residential customers, the charges include a volumetric component based on water use. These revenues fund the maintenance of 112 miles of sewer mains and lift stations, as well as the fees paid to the Los Angeles County Sanitation District for wastewater treatment and discharge. Now, you might be asking me, how do current and proposed rates compare to neighboring communities? Shown here is the current rate, and the city is at the bottom of the list. Even with a 50% increase, the city remains at the bottom of the list. Keep in mind, Monte Vista Water District, Cucamonga Valley Water District, Roland Water, and the City of Upland will all have increases effective January 1st and are noted in this graph. Show here also the where with a 25% increase effective July 1st, the City of Laverne is still very competitive in the neighborhood. So what does all that mean? Let's look at sample bill impacts for single-family residential. So let's start with what this chart is showing. On the left, you'll see the dollar scale, and along the bottom, 3 usage levels we're focusing on. Low use at 7,000 gallons, the annual average at 14,000 gallons, and a medium-high use at 20,000 gallons. Now, in dark blue, you see the current 2025 bills for each usage level. A low-use household today pays about $78, the average household about $106, and a medium-high user about $129. With the proposed 2026 rates, shown in light blue, those bills would rise to about $113, $152, and $186 respectively. For sewer service, the story is simpler. Everyone pays the same fixed rate every 2 months for sewer service, no matter how much water they use. The dark blue bar shows the current flat sewer charge for 2025, $23.43 every 2 months. The light blue, I clicked once too far, didn't I? Sorry about that. The light blue bar shows that proposed 2026 charge of $26.61. So let's look at these, the combined picture, water and sewer together on one bill. As before, you see the scale and usage categories first. The dark blue bars show current 2025 combined bills, about $112 for low use, $52 for average use, and $186 for medium high use. The light blue bars show the proposed 2026 combined bills rising to about $139, $186, and $213 at those same usage levels. Now, if approved by City Council, similar annual bill adjustments can be expected each year through 2029. So let's talk about your rights to object in our protest. Residents have 2 ways to formally oppose the proposed rate increases under Proposition 218. The first is by filing an objection, which argues that the rates are not legally compliant. The second is by submitting a protest, which is a written statement of opposition to the rates themselves. Both must be submitted in writing and follow specific rules to be counted. So let's start with filing an objection. An objection must clearly explain why the proposed rates don't comply with Proposition 218. It must be received by the city clerk no later than 4 p.m. on October 27th, 2025, 1 week before the hearing. Objections may be mailed, delivered in person, or emailed. The city will respond in writing to all timely objections. Importantly, filing an objection preserves the right to challenge the rates later in court. A protest is a written statement opposing the proposed rates. It must include a clear statement of opposition, the property owner or account holder's name, the property address, and the person's signature and printed name. Each property may submit only one protest. Protests must be received by the city clerk before the close of the public hearing on November 3rd, 2025. Oral comments at the hearing do not count as protests. If more than half of the property owners file valid protests, the City Council cannot adopt the rates. If there is no majority protest, the City Council may adopt them, and the new rates would take effect January 1st, 2026, with annual adjustments through 2030. 2 more items of note. Drought surcharges remain in effect. These only apply if the City Council declares a water shortage emergency. And the last one is the importance of water conservation. Water conservation empowers customers to actively manage and reduce their water bills through everyday actions. Simple steps such as promptly fixing leaks, installing water-efficient appliances, and optimizing outdoor irrigation with smart gardening techniques can lead to substantial savings in both usage and costs. The City of Laverne provides valuable resources to guide these efforts, including practical tips on reducing water waste, reporting issues via online portals, accessing rebate programs for efficient devices and turf replacement through partnerships like SoCal WaterSmart, and exploring seasonal strategies in archived newsletters. Just search for water conservation on the city's website to find these tools, ordinances, and support materials. We encourage you to learn more as well. On the city's website, you'll find FAQs, videos, and the full rate study report. The bill calculator at laverneca.gov/calculator lets you enter your water use and see how the proposed rates would affect your household. You'll also find links to this presentation, future virtual in-person sessions, and information about the public hearing. To summarize, rate studies help us keep up with the cost of providing service. They ensure financial health and set a course to meet future obligations. In California, Proposition 218 ensure rates are fair, transparent, and only cover the cost of service. Most importantly, the community members like you have a voice in this process. So now we'd like to hear from you. What questions do you have about the proposed rates, the process, or what this means to your household? I'll note that we will be answering, I believe if you put your hand up, we should be able to call on you and unmute your microphone in the order your question or comment was received. Looks like Dusty has a question, so I'm going to. I'm afraid I don't have permissions to unmute Dusty.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Hi, Dusty.
Okay. Hey, how you doing?
We're doing great. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Yeah, no problem. Good job on the presentation, Matt. I think you covered all the bases well. One question and one comment. First off, hopefully the turnout for the important meeting on November 3rd is the same as this, and you guys don't get a lot of opposition. So I will try to be there to support you guys. My one question was, did you guys consider pass-through rates at all? As far as obviously knowing year by year, you guys rely on Three Valleys a lot. You guys rely on Metropolitan Water District, and their rates vary year to year. And so if you set your rates for 5 years and the production costs go up substantially, you're kind of locked into those. So just curious if you considered pass-through for any of that or any electrical charges.
Great question. I'll hand that out to our technical expert, Jeremy.
Yeah, so that was something that was considered, but the city felt that they had a pretty good idea of the proposed adjustments in terms of what they were expecting on the cost of the imported water. So that was built into the annual inflationary increases as part of the water treatment costs. And so it was a conservative estimate, and we feel comfortable that the price of imported water won't exceed what is budgeted currently as part of the rate study.
Okay, thanks, Jeremy. I'm not trying to put you on the spot. Do you know what those were proposed at each year for the supplier?
Yeah, let me grab it off of the report. I could go in there. Just give me a minute.
In the meantime,
While Jeremy answers that, I'd like to point something out too. As well with these increases in the rates, there is a substantial investment in our infrastructure by us upgrading some of our wells so we can actually pull more fresh water and eventually buy less water. So that would kind of offset some of that as well.
Thanks, Joe.
Matt, I see Raymond has his hand up. You want to take
Yep.
his question while
We
I'm
can't hear
sorry.
you, Danny. You're real soft.
Yeah, I'm
I,
sorry. I'm sorry, Raymond. Your hand raise in my view screen here looked a lot like it was Dusty raising his hand, so I apologize. Sir, would you like to come off mute and ask a question or make a comment?
Yes, thank you much for having this presentation. I thought the presentation flowed relatively well outside of the first 10 minutes of getting it going. So hopefully this is a learning curve. But in the presentation, I'd like to see in future presentations a little bit more on the CIP. You know, uh, what are our monies actually being invested into? So when the residents look at this and say, my costs are going up quite a bit, but what am I actually paying for? So I'd have I've had the benefit of seeing that list, but it would be good to have at least some kind of recap on what we're spending our money on. And I also like Joe's comments regarding, what are the potential savings on investing in different processes to lower the cost in the future. Thank you.
Thank you for that.
and just to follow up on Dusty's question, we assumed 12% annual increases for fiscal year 26 and 27, and then 10.5% increases for the 3 years after that.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Of course.
I think the last person I'll invite Ralph. Ralph, if you have a question or a comment, we'd love to be able to answer for you.
Play nice.
No, I think the presentation went well. Great job. But just like the other guy said, hopefully next one we don't have so much time in the beginning.
That's a fair point. We were hoping to build the suspense a little bit, and maybe we did. The yeah, the team knows we'll be happy to trim that video, so the one that you post on the website is really tight. And I'll also say before, as thank you for the compliment, but it was much of this presentation was collaboration with city staff who were really tuned in to what the stakeholders in the community were going to be looking out for. So we'll put all the credit at their feet for the volume of information and how it was presented. So. Well, I believe that might be it, everyone. If there's not an objection or additional questions, we might call to close the first of several webinars that the city's hosting as we work to raise the level of awareness in the community about the why behind these proposed adjustments are being considered. So without objection, we might just close out and say goodnight.